This episode of What the Tech is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. And now Harry's is offering a free trial set. Just pay the shipping by using the code WhatTheTech at checkout.
What the Tech?
Everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew Zarin. Of course, I'm joined by the one, the only, Mr. Paul Thurrott. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good.
I have not seen you all week.
Sorry.
You look wonderful.
Okay. Thanks. So do you.
Well, I didn't see you last week. We did not do a show last week.
Yeah,
you were away. Where were you last
Mm-hmm.
week? Were you at Ignite? Yeah, you were at Ignite.
Yes, I was in Atlanta.
How was it?
It was great, actually. I mean, I really like Atlanta. I was very excited to be there.
Do you really? I've. You know what's funny? That's one of the few cities I have not been to, like a major city.
Right.
And I know nothing about it. Like, I don't know what they're known for. I know nothing about Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think coming from the north, like we do, you might have some preconceived notions about the South and Atlanta or whatever, but those are all true. No, but it's no, it's a pretty city. It's an eclectic city, and there's kind of a hipster thing going on there that you might not expect to be the case.
Yeah.
There's a lot of diversity, a lot of great food, a lot of great craft beer stuff. It's pretty. I mean, it's just a nice place.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about Ignite. I also the Google announcement was this week. The Google event. They released a whole bunch of hardware. I'm surprised at some of the hardware they announced.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about that, and I also have a little treat here for everybody. We're gonna review this in a little bit. Not really a review, but I'm gonna show this off.
The Dell Yoga 900 Surface XL.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Or it's called the Voyo. I don't know yet,
Yeah.
but we're gonna talk about that also today. But before we do, let's talk about our sponsor, and that's Harry's. Guys, we have been discussing Harry's for a long time, and they have this great offer for you guys. If you're a guy that loves a great shaving experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com, and now Harry's is offering a free trial set. Just pay the shipping and use the code WhatTheTech at checkout. We spoke about this about 2 weeks ago on the show, and I got so many messages on Twitter. Even just now, just today, I got a message from somebody that tweeted Harry's also, so thank you for letting them know that you're buying it because of us. And talking about, he finally pulled the trigger with this free trial set, and he absolutely loved it. The first time he's ever bought this. Everything is great about Harry's. I've been using my Harry's razor for, 2 years now. And I tell the story about how I was one of these guys that used cheapo razors, and I just threw them away. I was totally against spending the extra $1 or $2 and getting the expensive razor because of the experience that's based around this. You got to go to the store. It's locked away. You're buying this Mach 59 blade thing that's barely working properly, ripping your face apart. Not the case with Harry's. The blades are super high quality. You're paying just $2 a blade compared to $4 at what you pay at most drugstores. They own the Germany. They own the factory in Germany, so you know that it is the highest quality shaving experience that you could get. And here's a great offer: go to harrys.com right now and enter the code WhatTheTech at checkout and get your free trial set and post-shave bomb. This is a special offer for What the Tech. What the Tech at checkout. Sign up for the free trial. This is awesome. And they mail you depending on how many you need every month. Go there, check it out. harrys.com. Get the free trial over there. I want to thank Harry's for supporting the show. So, Paul,
Yes,
let's talk about this Google event, actually, because
Alrighty.
I was going to do, Tuesday got a little wacky because you were doing the content, the bonus show that you and Brad do for your website, for Thurrott.com, which I have to tell you, I, as a Thurrott Premium member, absolutely love it. I think it's great. I think the dynamic between you guys is great. How you openly mock him and he just goes back to you. It's awesome. If you haven't checked it out, guys, and by the way, this is not a sponsor in any way.
Well, I was going to say, it's very complimentary.
It's not a sponsor in any way, but
I would say we're still stumbling a little bit, but we'll get there.
Well, listen, we've done this how many episodes? 300 and something episodes, and I'm barely functioning doing this. So you guys have really.
No, that's not fair. You're a highly performing alcoholic.
I am a highly performing alcoholic. Absolutely, that's actually exactly what my wife says to me. If you go there, you can see right here, just 5 episodes. Episode 6 is getting posted right now, and I absolutely love it. The set is awesome. You guys have this great rapport. So I've gotten a lot of this information from listening to you and Brad, and it kind of changed my initial take on this Google event because, and I hate doing it, but it was interesting to see how you guys saw the event and some of the hardware that you thought was important. To me, one of the big things was the Wi-Fi announcement that they had, that router, that Wi-Fi router that they announced. I think, and people think I'm crazy for saying this, I think that was the biggest one because when we talk about simplifying everyday computing, making it an appliance, Google seems to be trying to do that with Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so by the way, I agree with you, and of course you live in a big house, and with multiple floors, and you sort of understand the need for this kind of a product.
I'm a slumlord here. I have 14 families living in one bedroom.
Yeah, I just lost it. I'm trying to find their. Yeah, here we go. So my only issue with this is, they tried something last year, where they did the on-hub stuff, and they come up with a couple of different versions of it over time. I think there might be maybe just 2 different versions, and then they have some shells you can buy.
You bought,
and I bought
on-hub.
it, and yeah. The one thing I'll say about whether you're on-hub or Project Fi. And I suppose whatever the Google Fiber probably works like this. I don't have that where I am, but their software interfaces for interacting with hardware devices like appliances, or Fi as a service, obviously, are really good. Like they're really high quality. Like they have these mobile apps, and it's really nice. The only issue I have with the new one is it doesn't seem to integrate with OnHub. So if you are using OnHub as your primary router, I don't know that this works with that.
So,
and I need to look at it a little bit more.
Very Google-like, huh? You mean to tell me that they released something a year ago and all of a sudden have totally forgotten about it?
Right.
That's the same thing as Google TV and Chromecast. So this is pretty much, this is a Wi-Fi. They just call it Google Wi-Fi. I mean, essentially, it's a router, right? It's an access point. So essentially, you get one, and you connect it to whatever internet connection that you have via Wi-Fi, and then it picks up. So you buy, the whole thing is you buy more of these. You buy 3 of them or 4 of them or 5 of them. They sell a 3-pack for like $200 something. And some people are saying it's a little too much money, but I actually, 3 of them for $200 something, and it's going to work and it's going to integrate perfectly fine. I think it's great. Like in my house, forget about the size of the house. Maybe I could show you guys here, because this may make a little bit more sense of my setup. So here we are in my office, okay? Here's my office. This is where I'm doing the show right here. That's my router right up there. You see the 2 routers up there, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my Stevie Richards autograph right behind that wrestler. So this is my living room.
Andrew, I notice there seems to be a lot of baby stuff.
A lot of baby stuff. A lot of baby stuff. I actually don't have a child. I'm just really into baby toys.
Is that a cage to keep you out of that room, or is that a cage to keep a baby in that room?
It's to keep the dog out of there. It's not even for the baby.
Okay.
So you see where the couch is by the window?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I cannot get Wi-Fi signal over there.
Yeah.
No,
you probably have like lead in your walls.
I swear to God, it's coded for the nuclear, Holocaust that's going to happen. I have no Wi-Fi. I can't. I mean, you're talking not too many feet. You're talking like 25 feet. I can't get Wi-Fi in that room. So I've had to create these little repeaters all around my house to get it to work. And, it's a pain in the butt for anybody that's set that up. We have 170 people in our chat watching right now. And I can tell you, this stuff, it doesn't always work right.
Right.
And these are new routers. These are brand new Fios, whatever the latest Fios router is that they provide. They're not old school routers. So It's throughout my entire house. So something like this, if I were to buy 2 packs of these for $500, set up 6 routers all across the house, this is great. Then I never have to worry about connectivity
Yeah, and you
issues.
probably don't even need that many, to be fair.
You probably don't. I mean, if I'm talking about me. If I want to put one in the basement and one in the attic, and
Yep. Yep.
I don't know.
No, I like it. I like
I do
that
too.
it's attractive looking. They've got an industrial design for their home products that I think kind of works. The on-hub routers are attractive as well. I don't know if they're deprecated or gone or whatever. That Google Home device, which is kind of like their Alexa device, is really attractive. And like on-hub has those sleeves you can add to it so it can look at home in any part of your house or whatever. It's nice. I think they do this. It's funny. You think of them as like the online services company because that's what they are, and the ad company, whatever. But it's interesting how they get this stuff right.
They do,
It's
but
like
nobody buys it.
Apple would have done this had Apple bothered to do this. It's the type of thing they would have done.
Well, Apple has done this with the Airport and the Airport Extreme, but
you know what? That stuff is really hard to set up.
It's not easy, yeah.
Because I've done this. If you use the Airport Express, the little tiny ones, which haven't been updated in forever, the ones that just kind of plug into a socket, it's really hard to where it was because I had 3 of them at one point. Trying to extend your network around the house, it is possible. Don't get me wrong, but it is very difficult. And to your point, even if you know what you're doing, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So there's room for this.
So I wanted to talk about the Wi-Fi thing to get it out of the way so I don't spend like 45 minutes on this because it was really the one that really caught my attention. And I am going to buy the 3-pack to kind of play around and test it out to see how well it works because it's a major problem in my house, the way that the Wi-Fi works. So I want to go down a list of the announcements and I want to go down the list of some of the stuff that may interest most people. And obviously the number one thing would be the Pixel.
Yeah.
The Pixel phone, starting at $649. Now, that was the biggest turnoff for me, is the steep price point. Now, it's not steep when you compare it to what everybody else is doing, right? I guess we now, as a society of, mobile phone users, have to understand that this is the price for premium phones. This is just, it starts $650 for a phone is a normal thing.
I don't know, man. So here's the problem with this price point. 2 years ago, when Google's, at the time, new Nexus devices were the Nexus 6, which was a Motorola device, and the Nexus 9, which I don't remember who made it, but it was the tablet. Those things, they went up market on the pricing, and it was a disaster. Neither one of those sold very well at all. Last year, they kind of ratcheted down the price again, and they released 2 really attractive and high quality phones like the Nexus 5X and the 6P. I'm trying to find the pricing on this because it's astonishing how much more expensive these things are. The Nexus 5X, which is the 5-inch version of this device, but last year, was $380.
$380.
The Pixel is $650. That's $270 more.
That's a lot of money.
That's crazy.
No, that's a lot of money. And you and myself and a lot of our viewers, I really feel like we have become numb to this stuff where this is just a point of acceptance. But
no, I will never
comments,
become numb to this. This is not right.
Yeah,
this
is not.
They're too expensive. And Google has yet to prove itself in this market. It's not like when Lexus entered when Toyota entered the luxury car market with Lexus, those first cars, I almost called them devices. Those first cars promised Mercedes fit and finish, Mercedes quality, but for far less money. I don't remember the exact price points, but let's say a high-end Mercedes S-Class of the day might have been $40,000. The Lexus was $25,000 or $20,000 or whatever the price was. And they delivered on that. And this is something they've done effectively from time to time. 3 years ago, the Nexus 5, last year's Nexus 5X and Nexus 6P did this. They were a great starting price for that much phone. It was so easy to recommend them. They didn't go up $100 per model. They went up $270. This is Samsung pricing. This is iPhone pricing. It's too much.
So
they cannot justify those costs.
Here's a great product. Look at this price: $499, $399. I'm sorry. The OnePlus
For the
3.
OnePlus? Yeah.
I have to tell you, I'm a big fan. I had the OnePlus 1, and I absolutely love the phone. The only problem that I had with it was the camera. It was crappy. It wasn't a great camera.
Right.
But $400, you own the phone.
It's too much.
But you own the phone. It's yours. You're done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the other one.
Yeah. Oh, you own the phone.
Yeah.
It's yours.
Oh, those are
And
great.
the new one, and by the way, if you want the cheaper one, they have cheaper ones on there. They have the OnePlus 2. They got the OnePlus, the One X. So,
by the way, here's a phone to buy. Get last year's Moto X Pure Edition, which they're still selling brand new. It's $289.
yeah,
It's an awesome phone.
It's too much.
Awesome
This Pixel is way too much, and they're offering you 0% financing on their website, and you could get it through Verizon. And that's the other big thing. You can get it through Verizon, which is a positive.
Yeah.
But some of the key features on this phone are interesting. It's really pushing the
by the
Google
way,
Assist.
To be clear, I bought one.
You did, yes. Okay.
I am super interested in this phone. But if you sort of imagine me pre-arranging a review in my head, the price is like no. It's too much. It's too much. It's a huge problem. But moving on. Yes, you're right. There's a reason I bought this thing. I still think a Google branded pure Android experience is important. I think them going after iPhone with an iPhone-like device and something that's part of a family of hardware that's not from Apple, frankly, that can be in your house is, it's interesting, of course.
So what stood out for you for this phone? What was the thing that really stood out?
Well, once you get past the fact that it looks exactly like an iPhone.
Yeah. And the fact that it says that it's a better camera than an iPhone.
Yeah. So having used the Nexus 6P for the past year, I do know that their fingerprints technology, or the whatever they're calling it now, pixel imprint tech, as they're calling it. I know that stuff works really well. I like having it on the back. It's a natural thing as you're holding the phone to access that control. It works really well. The pure Android thing, kind of carries over. I like the phablet form factor. They talked about the camera a lot. Now, it's interesting because there's things they didn't say. The things they did say was this is the best camera that's ever been in a smartphone, and it's not just us saying it. They backed it up with an independent lab that confirmed that. I need to see that for myself. It doesn't have a camera bump. I'm curious how they can fit
of all time. That was the claim. They didn't just say it's better than the iPhone. They said this is the best
one ever. Yeah,
best camera in a smartphone ever done. Nobody's even come close.
I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm going to test it. I'm very curious. Obviously, we talk about this. I love the camera stuff. Didn't ever mention.
I have to tell you. Sorry. You know what is not a bad camera, and I'm shocked it's not getting as much publicity, and you might be interested in it. My buddy Stevie Richards, he just got the LG V20, and it's their dual camera. It's a dual lens camera phone.
Right.
The camera has the two. I don't know why I keep calling it a camera phone. I have no idea why I keep doing that today. I saw some of the pictures. Stunning photos.
Okay. I mean, so the Nexus 6P was so great this past summer when we went away. I could picture holding on to it just to take on vacation. I mean, so we'll see. I'm very interested in testing this. It's very interesting, the things they never brought up. The Nexus 6P has stereo speakers. This one does not. It's a mono speaker like the old iPhones. It's just a speaker on the bottom. They never said anything about optical image stabilization. That phrase does not appear in the spec sheet. I believe it does not exist in this camera. They're using digital image stabilization, which everyone knows to be inferior. Mm-hmm. How will that play out? I don't know. They never talked about battery life, so it's kind of unclear. We can see what the battery sizes are. We know there's no expandable storage. We've come to expect that. It does have 4 gigs of RAM. That's cool. But, I look at this like high-end Snapdragon processor. I look at all of the RAM. It's got enough storage, 32, 128, whatever. I bet because it's Android, this thing will still have performance problems. And this is the thing about Android. It's the little nagging doubt, the little problem I still have when you compare it to an iPhone. Because the iPhone camera today is very, very good. I don't have a Samsung device, a new one. I think you could make a case that those are probably the best smartphone cameras out in the world today, like the one you have on your 7. But I think we can all agree, the new iPhones, a lot of the recent iPhones are kind of up in the list there. The Nexus is up there. But the iPhone doesn't ever have performance problems, ever, ever. It is the smoothest, most consistent, reliable experience. And that's the thing that keeps me from going full-blown Android. Like, I just can't get over that.
Yeah, I've explained why I'm an Android user for many reasons, on the show. But I just don't want to be in that iOS experience 100% between my Mac and between my iPad. I don't want an iPhone because I feel like this is keeping me from. It would be hard for me to use an iPhone and not make it my everyday driver.
So I hear you, but I guess the thing I would say is, I wrote about this actually. I mean, I do use an iPhone, but I don't use any Apple stuff ever for anything. The only Apple service, I use iCloud only to back up the phones, right? I don't use their photo stuff. I don't use their music stuff. There's some things you have to use, like the phone and the text message app. Whatever, who cares about that stuff? I don't use their email. I don't use their calendar. I don't use their browser. I listen, no one has complained more about the lock-in stuff than I have, but you could make this thing into a reasonable facsimile of a Microsoft device. If you're a Google user, the Google stuff is all there. It's all first class. I just find it to work better, I mean, I hear the complaint. I get it, but I don't know. I'm okay with it.
I got a question
It's
for you.
not. I agree. It's not.
Where's the
really
headphone
ideal.
jack? Is it on top?
Yeah. I think it is
Okay.
on top. Yeah.
Well, thank
It is
God.
there.
Thank God for that. One thing I found interesting for the Google that Google event is how they were talking about like Google Photos is now integrated and Duo is integrated. Like these are things that have been available on all Android devices, but they were making it seem like it's like, Google stuff. It's like you're only going to get it on this. I thought that was a little weird how they were selling that. It looks like a great phone. What makes it special other than pure Google? And is pure Google worth it? I have a Samsung S7 Edge, and I find nothing wrong with the UI. Like, there's nothing to me, and I'm picky about this. I think the UI is very close to pure Google, and there's nothing that annoys me about it. It's not like the old days with that weird HTC, touch sense, whatever they were calling it, and what everybody else was doing. I think it's pretty close to stock.
You can do a little bit more to make it more. It's never going to be pure Google, but you can use the Google launcher on your phone.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can make it a little more.
Yeah.
As much as you can.
And so I think that kind of compromise, and maybe that's not even the right word. You just kind of adapt the phone to your own needs or whatever. At least you can do it. And I don't know. I have a real stick up my butt about pure Android stuff. I don't like. I don't know. Maybe it's like a reflexive thing from my days with Windows Mobile. Like the way that these companies destroy the thing that worked so fine before. Like, why would you do anything to it?
Yeah, it's not that bad. I'm telling you, the Samsung stuff is not bad at all. It's so much better than it used to be. So another thing,
unless it's exploding,
unless it's blowing up, then it's absolutely terrible. So another thing that they announced was this little thing, Google Home.
Yeah.
It pretty much competes with Alexa, right? That's all it is.
Do you use anything like this?
Huh?
Do you use anything like this? Have you ever?
You know what's funny? I don't, because I never thought I need one. And we went to a friend's house, and they had, the Echo in their living room. And my wife was blown away by the fact that you could just talk to this thing and say, play top 40, US, and it'll play whatever the top 40 songs are. She absolutely loved it, but other than just playing music, I don't know what I would use it for. Like, they were demoing the Google Home stuff where it's the guy asking for traffic. He's like, what's the traffic like? Nobody's going to ask this thing, what's the traffic like? And then it's going to tell it, like, oh, use Route 3 instead of going down the highway. And you would do that on your phone. Most people would put in a navigation. They would get it on Waze. Like, I don't know what I personally would use this for other than playing music. You had one.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you use it for?
Nothing. I mean, I honestly, I put it in my kitchen as an experiment. My wife, I mean, she's normal. She's not a techie. She doesn't care about this stuff. I was just curious. I've heard so many people talk about how awesome this thing was. I thought I'm gonna let her use this and just see how it goes. And I heard her. I could from here in my office. I could hear her talking to it, and I thought, wow, look at her. She's really doing it, you know. And so I don't know, a week or so in, I went in and said, what do you think? And she says, I don't really care about it. And I'm like, really? And I said, so I mean, do you think we should keep it or return it? And she said, no, return it. We don't need this.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised a little bit by it. I thought she was. I mean, she was using it, but I guess she didn't derive any real value from it.
So home automation, obviously, is a great way to use this,
Yep,
right?
yep.
You could use it for that. But the majority of people that I know that have an Echo
It's music.
are
right?
just playing music. They're
Yeah, and
it's speakers.
Brad uses one for the same reason. Yeah. So we have a Tivoli speaker in our kitchen. It's kind of a nice speaker. It matches the kitchen too. It's like it's got a nice finish to it and whatever. And so I put a Chromecast on the back of that. We used to have just like a wire you could plug into your phone, but I put a Chromecast audio on it. And so my wife can go in there and play whatever, you know, her music. She uses Spotify or podcast or audiobooks, whatever. And you can cast it to the audio, the Chromecast audio, and it plays through the kitchen speaker. It's fine. So there's no real need for like another speaker in the kitchen. I will say, I think this is true. When they not announced this, but when they talked about it at the event this past week, music, I think, was number one on the list of the 4 big use cases, right? I think music was number one. And I do think that's why a lot of people use these things. But I think the thing that's going to set this apart from Alexa or the Echo products is that they have the rest of the ecosystem. So they have a couple things. I mean, for one thing, you can put these things around your house and it won't matter which one you're talking to. That's kind of cool. But I think the ability to begin something and then complete it later on your phone or tablet or whatever, or Chromebook or whatever out in the world, I think is the big deal, because this is the thing you and I always talk about, this pervasive computing thing of the future. I think this is the first step. And I think Google is one of the companies that can make it happen, because the more it knows about you, the more it knows about what you're thinking about doing, the more it can help you out in the world when you're actually doing it. You know, you might be sitting in your kitchen thinking about, you know, I got to catch the train and what's the traffic like and all that kind of stuff. And because this is all part of your broader existence, that can have ramifications for when you actually get in the car.
Yeah.
And now you're on your phone. And, you know, we'll see. The first version is going to be,
I'm just
much
trying to
more
think,
limited.
like, why? I know because it's Google, but how much more do you benefit by having this Google device over an Alexa? I think Alexa's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but this is Google, and remember that the way this thing gets better is not by you buying another device; it's by the cloud service stuff, and that's what Google gets right. It's what Amazon does too, by the way, obviously. But Amazon doesn't have that piece. Amazon doesn't have a way to get on your phone in a way that's seamless and just works, right? No one has an Amazon phone, and no one is going to, even if you had an Alexa app on your phone. No one's, you know, it's like running like a Cortana app on your iPhone. You could do it, but it's not a particularly seamless experience.
Yeah, the Amazon stuff is interesting, but it's nothing ties together, because I don't think, I mean, other than their Fire TV, right? Their Fire TV is extremely successful, but their phone was
but that's just another thing in your house.
Yes, it's another thing, yeah.
Sitting around the house asking about the weather or
Google
how many meters are in a yard or whatever is cute, but I think where this stuff makes sense is, you know, where you're heading out into the world. So I don't know how this handles multiple users. I don't know if the things I'm talking about, how you can continue conversations later on your phone out in the world, if that even works in V1. I don't know. I'm just saying Google has that possibility. Yeah. The future of this thing, I think, is much brighter than Alexa.
Where's Microsoft in this?
Do you have one of those cricket soundboard sounds?
If I had it, I would have hit it. Right? Like, where are they in this whole?
So, actually, Google and Microsoft's machine learning / AI / front end digital personal assistant capabilities are roughly analogous, right? I think these are the two companies that can nail this problem. The challenge for Microsoft is that they don't have as many inroads into people's lives as Google does. So with these devices, what we're seeing is Google coming into your home in a way that finally makes sense. You know, you and I have talked a lot about how Google has never really figured out the living room. I think that's starting to happen. Or the home.
With what, the Chromecast?
With the Chromecast, with the Google Home, and with the Wi-Fi stuff we were talking about earlier, right? I think between these devices, we see them getting the home.
You and I both are guilty of mocking this thing. We thought it was stupid.
Well, not this thing, right? You and I are guilty of mocking the first thing, which was terrible.
Yeah.
So they've improved this thing. I listen. I own 4 of these things.
But it was first of all, it was it was unusable for me, right? And let me just say this: it is still unusable if I am Chromecasting from my Mac to the Chromecast. It's terrible.
From like the browser.
From the browser, it's really bad. It's not a good experience.
No, but you know what? Well, you know this from your phone, from an iPhone.
Oh, perfect.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's stunningly. I was so shocked because I never had a use case for this thing, right? Because I've always had a Fire TV or an Apple TV or whatever, which has the apps. And I was a big fan of Google TV when it first came out. So when they announced the Chromecast, I always thought, it'd be great if they incorporate this in Google TV because of all the apps.
Yep.
You know what? Now I see the vision. You don't need apps because the apps are here.
Right.
And it's great on battery life. You just Chromecast it to the TV. I started using it to watch Japanese wrestling.
Off, right?
Yeah, I just hand it off. Yeah.
So by the way, this is a little bit of a kind of a sidetrack here, but I don't know if you saw that there is a Chinese Android phone maker that has an Android TV box that you can buy at Walmart for $69. It looks awesome. It does 4K.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it runs.
I don't know how to pronounce this company's name, but it's like Shomi. I think
there's a couple of those now, right?
Yeah, but this is like a mainstream device, and you can get it at Walmart. So
interesting.
I'm not saying that Android TV is going to come exploding out of the gate here all of a sudden, but
I'm curious. I would try it out.
Yeah, you might want to look at it.
So with this Chromecast, though, I do have one issue with it, and that's the price point.
Really?
$69.
I think that's fantastic.
Not cheap. I mean, compared to...
All right, but what's the next cheapest device that does 4K HDR streaming?
Okay, so let's see. That's the thing. Yeah. So what does the new Fire TV do? Does the new Fire TV, does it do 4K? The stick?
It does, but not HDR, and only at 30 frames per second. If you want 60 frames a second in HDR, you have to get a Roku, whatever they're calling it, Ultra or something, whatever it is. It's $120.
And it's $30 less, by the way. The Fire TV.
And what?
$39.99 for the Fire TV. This is $69.99 for this.
Okay.
I have to. I don't want to say like. let me rephrase it, because then I'm going to get the YouTube comments that say, Andrew, you're an idiot. For me, as someone that doesn't have a 4K TV,
sure,
it's not important, right? Like, I don't have a 4K TV, so it doesn't matter.
Reason to get it.
So if you do have a 4K TV, and you are now buying this, you're buying this, you want a Chromecast for whatever reason, or you want to view whatever, a Netflix on your 4K TV. Are you going to buy the $39.99 stick, or are you going to buy the Chromecast at $69 and it doesn't have any standalone apps, and you're going to have to use your phone to do everything?
Well, my recommendation would be to buy the Roku, which has the apps.
Which has the apps,
It has its own remote, and there are certain advantages to it. That said, that you can't actually order this yet. I think there's a waiting list. I will buy one of these. I'm very, very curious about a couple of things, but one of them is that Google is going to start selling videos through their movies and TV service, the Google Play Movies and TV service, in 4K sometime in the next couple of months.
Yeah, that's big.
About time. This is a place where Apple should have led.
Yeah.
Apple offers no 4K solutions whatsoever for the living room. Their service is not, they don't offer 4K videos or upgrades if you already bought HD, which I'm sure they will eventually. Google getting there first is very interesting to me. It's the type of thing we used to associate with Apple. It's just like the Wi-Fi stuff. It's like the on-hub thing, or the Google Home thing. I mean, this is the stuff Apple should have been doing. Apple gets distracted by cars and watches, and this is their bread and butter right here, and they're not doing it. It's amazing to me.
This was a fun project for them, remember?
A hobby.
A hobby. Yeah, it was a hobby. Okay, so with the new Fire TV, right? Not the stick, but the actual Fire TV. It does 4K Ultra HD, but does it do HDR? It does not. And on the
It
Amazon,
it only does 30 frames a second.
it only does 30, so that's a problem. And
Yep.
with their store, right? The Amazon Video Store.
Mhm.
Can you buy 4K
Is there
films
4K?
Yeah.
My understanding is that there is 4K there, but when I try to access it on the Roku or through the TV, they don't do a good job of putting it aside. So it's really hard to find the content. If you go into Netflix, for example, they'll have a channel for 4K content, so you can find that very easily. And I think, what's the other service that begins with a V, the movie service? Vudu or whatever. They have 4K content as well. But Amazon does, but it's very hard to find.
Yeah. You know, whenever we discuss this, I will always get a bunch of emails from people saying,
Yep.
you guys are totally missing this. You have to check out the NVIDIA Shield.
Yeah.
You have to, like, it's no question. Like, you guys are really missing out on this. This thing does 4K HDR streaming. Sure. It's $200, by the way. It's not super cheap. But it does 4K HDR. I don't know if it's 4K at 60.
Is it an Android TV solution? I think
it's an Android TV solution. Yeah. It's Android TV.
I've looked at it. Yeah.
I'm considering buying it because of how dedicated their, I guess, market, like the people that buy this thing are really dedicated to it, and they say, like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, you guys are wasting your time with these crappy set-top boxes. Nothing is better than this. So I now kind of want to try this. I want to see what I'm missing out on. Is it that good? The Shield Pro, by the way, is $300. It comes with a 500 gig hard drive, 16 gigs for the $199. I don't know much about this other than people love it. People absolutely love this thing. I don't. Have you had any, like, do you know anything beyond what I just said about it or no?
Nope, I do not.
So interesting. There's like nobody. There's no like market. Like, I don't know where. I wasn't even aware that this existed, and I follow up on this stuff.
Right.
I'm
aware of it. I just don't know much about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I may have to buy it. I think I'm going to end up buying it because from the amount of feedback I've gotten from people that own the set-top box, sure. They're very, very impressed, and it seems to be updated. Like, it's not like a dead project that was made a couple months ago. There's been.
I think a big part of this device is gaming, and this is still the weak link in these kind of living room type devices to me. You know, that's true of the Amazon Fire TV. It's true of Roku, especially. It's true of Apple TV. You know, there's always this kind of gaming push, and of course, NVIDIA as a graphics company. You know, it's no surprise, but I don't know. Maybe someday.
Yeah, it's interesting. What else did they announce? Let me see. So back to the Chromecast though. So $69 for this Chromecast. It does 4K HDR, 60 frames a second. This thing, you know, use your phone, and it's exactly what the Chromecast is.
It even has an Ethernet port built into it, which is a first for a Chromecast.
Does.
You don't need it, but if you have terrible Wi-Fi, that'd be great for 4K, obviously.
I guess, yeah. I guess you're kind of forced.
You know what's interesting about all these devices they announced, except for the phones? They're all really inexpensive. They're all, you know, like they're inexpensive. They're not like this is the right price. Like they're reasonably priced. Like they're all great pricing, except for the phones. The phones are like crazy off the charts wrong, like by hundreds of dollars off. You know, it's really strange to me.
And I think the last thing was the Daydream.
Yeah.
VR, $79.
I know. That's excellent. That's a great price for that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, look, there are stages to VR, right? The quality of the experience you're going to have. The cheapest, lowest end version is cardboard. It's $15. It's pretty awesome, honestly, for what it is. But it's not super interactive, right? It's, you know, there's not much you can do. There's one button on the side. It's kind of hokey. At the high end, you have like HTC Vive. You've got Oculus Rift. These things are several $100s a piece. They require computers that are several hundred, if not over $1,000. So you're talking, you know, $1,500, $2,000 worth of equipment. Not to mention the complexity of all the stuff you have in the room and cameras, and it's crazy. And then somewhere in the middle is the Sony PlayStation VR, which isn't quite out yet. I think it's coming up pretty soon. I think it's $300. You need or maybe it's $400. You need a $300 console. $700. It's expensive. That one's probably going to be pretty great. Frankly, I'm looking forward to trying that. But this kind of sits between. It's above the cardboard, It's below the PlayStation VR because you do have a controller.
Yeah.
It's a simple controller. It looks
And
like
they showed
like
what was it they demoed? It was like a Harry Potter type game.
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
And this provides that next step above cardboard. It's this interactivity. You can play games. You can interact in a more sophisticated way with whatever the thing is you're doing. And so, look, I tell people this. They don't. I get the feeling a lot of people don't believe it. Buy a cardboard. Use your phone.
Yeah.
You get the New York Times VR app and just look at these interactive news stories. Go to use Google Street View and visit Paris. Just go down the street in Paris. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing, and it's $15. I think this thing's going to be kind of a big deal.
It's still the early days, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. Right now,
sure.
I remember I think it was last December, I tried all those VR headsets, and they were all terrible. And then I got the Samsung one that they suggest.
Samsung, yeah.
And it was so bad where my phone could only worked for 10 minutes because it would overheat the phone.
Before it exploded.
Before the phone exploded right in your face.
Yeah, it literally melts like through the front of the visor,
It would get so hot where the phone would prompt a message and say, "We need to go into cool off mode."
Yeah, yeah. I witnessed this. Raphael has one of these. I saw the same thing.
It was so bad. So obviously, that was a year ago, and they probably made improvements to it from a year ago, but there was nothing special about it. Like, I watched Netflix, and there was nothing special about VR to me. In its current state, it's cool for about 10, 15 minutes, then you want to take the thing off and never put it back on again. Now, is that going to be the case, a year from now?
Supposedly
Probably
not. I mean, I've read reviews of this, overviews of this from the New York Times and from the Wall Street Journal, guys who were there at the event. It's supposed to be really comfortable. It's attractive looking, It's not super expensive. I think this is a great price point, $80, because you're not just getting the visor, you're getting the controller as well.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
It does look cool.
I'm looking forward to trying this one out too.
Now, a couple things were not announced. There was no announcement about wearables, right? We got nothing about wearables.
No Android Wear.
We got no Android Wear. We got no tablets. We got no Chromebooks.
Yeah, and when you look at their site right now, if you go to, I think it's store.google.com, and if you look at it's mostly about the stuff they just announced, but you can look at the other stuff, right? And it's funny how out of date some of it looks. I'm going to scroll down and look at it. So the first 4 or 5 things are things they just announced, but then, like you said, tablets, Chromebooks, Android Wear, and you look at these things, you're like, wow, these are all in desperate need of upgrades. And I'm hoping and expecting that over the next several months, whatever, they will refresh their Pixel C tablet, their Pixel Chromebook, which I assume they're going to have to sort of rebrand, whatever Pixel brand they use for those. And I'd love to see Google get into the Android Wear thing. Like, they don't have their own first market, Google Pixel branded Wear device, and they need some. I think they should do fitness bands and they should do full-blown watches,
Yeah, I mean, they're piecing it together, and it's interesting how it's being pieced together right now because they're kind of all over the place, right? They're doing connectivity, but not really. They're doing connectivity for home automation. They're doing the Wi-Fi stuff. It's very consumer friendly, and this was not a company that was like that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, they're trying to bring these things into a kind of integrated family of devices. So we'll see. The Nest stuff still feels like it's a little different from the other stuff. Google Home and Google Wi-Fi, those things kind of have made the move into, they kind of feel like they're the same thing. And then they have that on-hub stuff, which, again, I expect, maybe it's probably at the end of that, unfortunately. But
it's interesting stuff. Was there anything else that we missed from this announcement? Anything that stood out to you?
Well, I mean, the biggest one, honestly, was right up front. Google CEO Sundar Pichai came out and he talked about what this all kind of meant from a higher level. And he said something very interesting to me, which was just this notion that we always, wondered what was going to come after mobile, because when you think about personal computing, obviously the personal computer was the first big thing. The internet came along. That was the next big thing. Cloud computing and so forth. And then mobile. And mobile is the iPhone in particular, but let's say mobile is the asteroid that killed the Windows PC dinosaur. Yeah. So what's going to kill mobile? It's AI. It's machine learning. It's the pervasive computing thing
Yeah.
you and I keep talking about.
What
And
kills all of humanity? AI.
yeah, well, eventually, that's the subject of a future Terminator movie. But I mean, this Google Home, look, you put it in phones. Like, in other words, when the web happened, when the internet happened, you used it on your computer, right? And there were companies like Netscape that said this is going to kill the computer, and there were companies like Microsoft who were big in computers
The
and said,
internet
screw
is
that.
going to kill the computer?
What's that?
They said the internet is going to kill the computer.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, like we don't need computers. Like we'll get rid of Windows. We don't need that anymore
Yeah.
because the internet is the computer. Remember that, like our son would say, the network is the computer.
Yeah.
They were right. They were just like 20 years
Yeah,
ahead of the game.
Actually, yeah, they were absolutely right.
Yeah. So the way you embrace the next thing is it becomes part of the old thing, right? I mean, we use cloud computing today via our devices, PCs, but also phones and tablets. This AI stuff is going to appear first on phones and tablets and on PCs because they're still kicking around.
Yeah.
But the reality is this is the thing that kills that stuff. And the way it kills it is first through these devices that we can sort of see, like, look, here's a Google thing. We plunk it down on your desk. Eventually, these are just going to be little microphone node things that are in
Everywhere.
power sockets and in light switches. They're just going to be everywhere.
You could just talk to
And
nothing.
that's when it kills the devices.
Yeah, it's a fascinating transition period. We
Yeah.
talk about the next big boom, and this is obviously I 100% agree that this is the next big boom.
Yeah.
This is what changes everything.
Yeah. So
fact
the
that-
race is on. Microsoft and Google and Apple and Amazon are all fighting to control that future. All of them have big stakes. All of them are protecting something, as they try to push to this next thing. And there are always going to be people who have just listened to how we described it and said, oh, hell, I'm never going to do that. I care about my phone too much. Yeah, sure. We said the same thing about CompuServe and Prodigy and about the IBM XT that we used to use. But those things, eventually they become obsolete.
I was one of these people. I never wanted a laptop. I was a desktop guy. Why would I get a laptop? I'm not going to, if I want to use my computer, I'll use it right here. And for the longest time, I was like that. I had a laptop and I would never use it. If I wanted to do anything, I needed a desktop. And guess what? I don't. If it wasn't for what I'm doing, I wouldn't have a desktop here and desktop there. I would just have this one laptop, and it would be perfectly fine for everything I'm doing. My wife did edit something, like she did some crazy editing on her phone.
I know.
In iMovie on her phone, like she did.
I
put together this beautiful thing for a friend's anniversary party on her phone. So
on a phone,
it's crazy. Next thing, it's going to be on the cloud. This isn't even going to power anything. It's going to be some server in the cloud that automatically downloads to your phone, which we already do have that. What was the company that Microsoft ended up buying? Was it Microsoft that bought them? OnLive, right?
No.
I
wish they had bought OnLive.
Who bought OnLive?
Did somebody buy OnLive?
Yeah, somebody bought OnLive. Guys, who bought OnLive?
Back before we knew what the Xbox One was, I argued that Microsoft should have bought OnLive.
And it was great.
Sony bought them, and then they shut it down.
What, OnLive? Yeah, but remember,
Sony did,
do you remember what their other side of the business was other than gaming?
Yeah, they did
virtual
remote
machines,
desktop
remote
stuff.
desktop stuff.
Yeah.
And it was good. I had it, and I had.
I think that's how they got their start. I think they moved from that to gaming or something.
Something like that. It's fascinating to me, and obviously technology wasn't there for them, and they were a couple of years.
But they were ahead of the game. I still think that is the future of gaming. That we and you can see like the transition with the Xbox One and with the PlayStation 4. These companies are starting to chip away at the old way of doing things with consoles, and I think eventually it just goes away. There's no doubt about it.
My kid is listening to me talk, and she's actually imitating me having a conversation, just babbling.
Fantastic.
It's the funniest thing in the world. She's like waving her arms, like how I always move my arms. It's the cutest thing right now.
That's great.
Who was the first to do it, actually?
Do what?
Wave their arms like a lunatic? No.
To imitate you and wave their arms.
to do like, online gaming and stuff like that. Remember Sega TV?
Not really. No.
That was their big future. They used to come to your house and install this giant box, and you used to connect to the server, and you would have to download these games, and you could only download, and every time you played it, you would have to download the game. So it didn't save it anywhere. You would just download it, and you would play it. It was this really, weird way of doing it, but they were the first to kind of set up this, on-demand type world with gaming. And again,
Right.
before its time, how many, 28A modems aren't going to cut it for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so, guys, if you're watching this
Remember.
live, stay tuned. We are going to show you guys and discuss this laptop here, and it's going to lead into a very interesting discussion about sub $300 computers. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I was really for these Chromebooks until I started playing around with these really low end, inexpensive Chinese lab. Not low end in the sense that it's crap. Low end in the sense that it's not a i7 i5 processor. It's running probably an Atom in this thing, and I'm very impressed by this thing. Very impressed. It's under $300, so we're going to talk about this on our Patreon show. If you're watching this live and you want to watch it later, if you listen to the podcast, go to patreon.com/whatthetech. Fund us anything there, and you get access to all these bonus shows that we do each and every week here on the show. Paul, what are you up to? Anything coming up?
No, I mean, I'm traveling at the end of the month to Las Vegas with Mary Jo.
Are you coming to New York?
Yeah. Oh, we have a reviewers thing Wednesday.
Yeah. Very fun. Very good. And I'm coming to you. I'm going to come visit you.
Finally.
I'm coming to visit Paul. We're having a slumber party.
We're spending Columbus Day together.
We are. That's our holiday.
It's our special. It's our day. That's our day. We're gonna discover. We're gonna discover each other on Columbus Day.
We are. In all seriousness, we are spending Columbus Day together, so it'll be fun.
That's right.
Guys, go to our website, gfknetwork.com. Subscribe to the podcast. We're everywhere podcasts are available. We are also on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And stay tuned. If you're watching this live, stay tuned. We're going to review. Not really review. I'm not going to go deep into this, but we're going to discuss this laptop right here.
No, I'm really curious about this thing.
We'll see you all next week. Take care.